guys, how's it going? Welcome to episode 2 of Top 5 Tuesday. This week we have our first ever viewer submitted topic, and I'm going to go ahead and pull that comment up real quick and read it. It's from King Mufasa. It says, KitchenTableMeta, I've been seeing a lot of discussion about what the best promo is and which ones are staples and decks. I was thinking maybe you could do a top 5 promos. Anyway, just a thought, let me know what you think. And I think it's an awesome idea, King Mufasa. Thank you so much for the suggestion. And so this week we're doing top 5 promos from the Volume 1 tournament packs. And so you can catch that right after this.
Coming at you with number 5.
All right, guys, at number 5, we have Forceful Strike Cell. Now, Forceful Strike Cell is a 5-cost, 3 green, 20,000 power battle card that has Double Strike, Revenge, and a special auto that you can use once per turn. And that is, when this card is in battle and the opponent combos, if it is your turn, choose the card with which they comboed and place it in the drop area. So essentially, what Cell does is the first combo that happens during his attack gets discarded. And so that puts your opponent in a really weird situation. It's a very, very powerful effect, and one that I think might be a little underrated currently. Now, so the downside of Cell, and the reason why he's at number 5, is for a couple reasons. Number 1, he's very restrictive to play. 3 green is very difficult unless you're playing a mono green deck or a deck that likes to play a lot of green cards. Now, currently, there's only a couple of decks that do that, and one of the big ones is hand destruction decks. Now, a problem with this is that with the hand destruction decks, you want to be playing your big 6-drop Broly on 5, and then on 6, just play another one. And so that puts Cell in a really weird situation where he doesn't really have a spot in that deck. And then once you move into the mid-range green decks, like the blue-green decks, you run into this kind of the same situation. He's restrictive to play, and Gotenks, the Super Saiyan Gotenks, the 5-drop Gotenks, is just better. It has 5 more power, it still has Double Strike, it draws you a card, and readies 2 of your energy. And so because of that, Cell is a little outshined. However, why I do have him at number 5 is because he does have a powerful effect, and with set 2 creeping right around the corner, that really kind of takes advantage of not only androids, which Cell is, also just the Cell mechanic with the Union Absorb. I feel like that Cell is going to be in a great spot moving into set 2, and he should definitely be on your radar when it comes to the top 5 promos.
Let's take a look at number 4.
All right, at number 4, we have another green card, Broly the Unstoppable Horror. Now, Broly is a 4-cost, 2 green, 15,000 battle card that has Evolve 2 green and 1 on another Broly. It has Double Strike, and it also has the auto ability, when a card evolves into this card, choose up to 1 opponent's battle card in the battle area and KO that card. And so this card is very similar to the 4-drop Beerus card in blue, except the downside of this card is that it has to be evolved onto another Broly in order to get its effect. And this is a really big downside for a couple reasons. Number 1, it's a little bit more difficult. Your opponent can play around this by just simply killing off your Broly. The second thing, and which I think is probably the biggest downside for this card, is that playing this card out on its own doesn't do anything. And to make matters worse for this card, 4 cost for a 15,000 attacker is very much off curve. And what I mean by that is most of the good 4-drops have 20,000 attack. And this card also has Double Strike, which is great, so it's a little bit more on par with Beerus, but you know, Beerus is literally just a 4-cost, 20,000 Double Strike attacker with the upside of killing a battle card when it comes into play as well by just playing it a turn later. And so often when you play this card on turn 4, you get nothing, and you don't really get that powerful of a threat either. So that's a big downside. Another thing is this card does cost 1 to combo for 10,000, which is another big downside. I would really like to see this card be 0 for 5, since it doesn't have that upside of 5,000 more power, which is more on curve with 4-drops. And also to make this card just a little bit more awkward, and the reason why it's at number 4 is because the deck that wants to see this card the most is the hand destruction deck. Now that deck is like the pinnacle deck that runs the Broly line, that runs the 1-drop all the way up to the 6-drop. And the thing about that deck is that it wants to play Broly on 1, on turn 2 it wants to objection into another Broly, and then on turn 3 it wants to play Bio Broly to discard 2, and then on turn 5 it wants to play another Bio Broly to discard 2 more, and then on on turn 6, it wants to be playing its big Broly's to discard even more cards. And that leaves this card in kind of a weird situation where, you know, often you just use Objection to skip past the turn where this card is really good. And, you know, it kind of makes it kind of awkward. Now, I do run 3 of these in my hand destruction deck. And, you know, often there's a lot of games that go by where I don't ever play this card. But there are certain situations where on turn 4, I just have to play this card out because I don't have another Broly to play. And it makes it so my Broly line isn't dead if all my 1-drops die. It's also sometimes you get certain matchups where evolving this guy even on your 6-drops to kill a big threat is good. And so this card is very good. And if you're looking to play the hand destruction deck or a green centric deck with the Broly line, there is no better card, no better promo for you to get than Broly the Unstoppable Horror.
Moving on to number 3.
At number 3, we have Light of Hope Trunks. Now, Light of Hope Trunks is a 3-cost, 2 blue, 15,000 battle card that has the permanent effect that says, during your turn, if you have 5 or more energy, this card and your leader card gain 5,000 power. Now, Light of Hope Trunks is probably my favorite promo card. It's the one I'm the most excited about, and it's the one that I'm always brewing about. I'm always thinking of ways to make this card shine. And one of the best ways to do that is to pair this up with both of the Goku blue leaders, which is the starter Goku and the dual attack Goku. Both of these love this Trunks card and can really do some scary things with it, especially the dual attack Goku that gets 1,000 power for every energy that you have in play. And on the flip side, if you have 7 or more, he gets a dual attack with that same effect. And that plus Trunks can really add a lot of power to that leader and make him very, very scary. Something else to remember about Trunks is that he is a 3-drop 15,000 power attacker, which is very strong. Now, this is something that works really well with Champa. It works really well with almost any leader because he buffs the leader no matter which one you have. It's not like the Goku that your leader has to be red. It literally just buffs any leader, which is a very, very strong effect. Something else to remember, he's also a 0-cost 5,000 buff card. So if you get into a rough spot, you can use him to combo, and it's very good as well. And he's also good in the mid game. Now, usually with most of the 3-drops in this game, if you draw them late in the game, it's a lot of the times like underwhelming, right? Like you draw, you know, a 3-cost card, like let's say Gotenks, for example. While that card's very good on 3 and 4, once you get up to 5 and 6, you kind of hope for a little bit of a better card, and so you usually use those cards as just combos. Now, the thing about Trunks is with his ability that he buffs himself and the leader, he gets stronger later in the game as well. He's a 3-cost 20,000 attacker, which is something to not laugh at. I mean, it's very strong. And so for all of these reasons, to me, Trunks is one of the top 3 best promos for you to pull, and you should definitely, if you have some, start looking into either the dual attack Goku or the starter deck Goku to really take advantage of this powerful promo card.
Number 2 coming at ya.
All right, at number 2, we have Mecha Frieza. Now, Mecha Frieza is a 4-cost, 2 yellow, 15,000 battle card that has double strike and a very powerful auto ability that says, when you play this card, your opponent reveals their hand. Choose up to 1 battle card among it. Your opponent plays that card in their battle area in rest mode. Now, this is an extremely powerful effect in the game. Anytime you can look at your opponent's hand in any card game, it is very, very strong. But in Dragon Ball, it is even stronger because you can really get a lot of information. You can see what they're going to play on you. You can see what cards they can combo, how much they can get up to their max value on their leader. And that's very powerful because a lot of times in this game, the last couple turns come down to who pulls the trigger first, right? If you pull the trigger too soon to try to kill them and they can survive, a lot of times the swing back will kill you. And so to be able to look at your opponent's hand and really tell when you can go all in and when you can't is extremely, extremely powerful. I cannot overstate that. Now, I remember the first time I saw this card, I thought this effect was balanced because I thought you had to choose a battle card. I thought, well, if I look at my opponent's hand and the only card they have in their hand is some strong 6-drop or maybe even like the 12-drop Whis, for example, then I'm literally playing that card for them for free, and that is very bad. However, this, after rereading the card and looking at the rules a little bit, it does say choose up to 1 battle card, which means since you can choose up to, you can choose 0 as the value, and you don't have to choose a battle card. But the good part about this is you can choose a battle card, and so you can essentially take a combo piece out of their hand if you're going for the all-in, and if you're not, you can just take you know, a pretty strong battle card out of their hand and kill them, and kill that effect since it does, kill that battle card since it does come into play. Now, something else to remember about Clannad Mecha Frieza is that he is on par for the strong, what I call the typical 4-drop. But what I mean by that is he costs 4 and he has 20,000 power and double strike. And almost all the strong 4-drops in the game are at that curve. The 4-drop Beerus is at 20,000 for 4, and so is the Bio Broly. It evolves at 4 and it has 20,000 with double strike. And so if your 4-drop can't do that, it's probably not quite good enough unless it has a strong effect. And Clannad Mecha Frieza not only has a strong effect, but is also on par. And the last thing I'll talk about this card is that it is a Frieza's Army card, which means it works very well with the Golden Frieza leader, because after it attacks, or after you get this effect, you can KO it with his effect, and then, you know, draw your card and reset your mana. Your energy. And so for all these reasons, you know, this card is by far one of the top three promo cards you can pick, and without a doubt in my mind, the second best promo you can get out of your promo packs.
Finally, number 1.
All right, guys, finally at number 1, we have Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku. Now, this card is a 3-cost, 2-red, 15,000 battle card that has 2 very powerful auto abilities. The first, it says, when you play this card, each of your red battle cards and red leader card gain plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. The second one says, at the end of your turn, return this card to your hand. Now, these are both 2 extremely strong auto abilities that work very well in tandem with each other. And so first we'll talk about the first one. Now, since he is a red battle card, he does get the effect of his own ability, and this makes him a 3-cost 20,000 attacker, which is a little bit over curve and very strong. The second is this works really well in red decks that are going to have a lot of red attackers. Some of those red attackers that can be very strong is, for example, the Kaba. Kaba can get a buff off of its attack and a buff off of this, which can make it a very, very extremely strong a threat, even though it's just a 1-cost card. And a lot of other red cards really take advantage of this as well. Another one that I always say is Vados. Vados, the bewitching god Vados, really takes advantage of this ability and can turn Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku into a real finisher the turn after you play Vados. So if you play Vados on 5, swing out twice with her, get a bunch of red creatures out on the field, and then the next turn play out Goku and give them all 5,000. I mean, you can really, really put your opponent in a really tough situation. And for all these reasons, that ability is just extremely strong. Now, moving on to the second effect, which is at the end of your turn, return this card to your hand. It's, I think, a little bit of an underrated ability. Now, I think a lot of people see this as a downside, and while it can be, because you kind of literally have to pay 3 energy every time you play this, will kind of stall you out, maybe put you in kind of maybe a weird, awkward situation. It really isn't. It's actually a very strong ability. Now, what this does is it gives a leader like Champa a very consistent threat that comes out and can draw him a card each time and put pressure on his opponent. It also protects this card, and so you don't have to worry about your opponents attacking this card back. And so because of that, this is always going to be a consistent threat, something that your opponent always has to worry about coming out, which is very very strong and can really put a lot of pressure on your opponent just with this card. It's also really good for low curve decks, curves that maybe want to stop at 4 or 5 energy. They know that they always have this strong 20,000 attacker to come out. Now, one thing to remember, though, is you really, with this card, you have to really pay attention to your opponent's energy availability and what cards that they could be playing, because there's a couple cards, 3 that I'll talk about, that can really punish this card. Number 1 is Cold Bloodlust. Now, Cold Bloodlust will make this card not have its attack a buff, it's a first auto, and take away its ability to go back into your opponent's hand. And because of that, your opponent can kill it the next turn with cards like Beerus. So if you see them have one yellow energy open, be very careful about when you play this card. Another yellow card that can put a lot of pressure on Super Saiyan 3 Son Goku is King Cold. King Cold could really come out after this card attacks and kill this card. So if you see your opponent with 4 yellow energy open or the ability to play King Cold, maybe try not to attack with this card. You can still play it, just don't attack with it. And then finally, the last card that kind of puts a lot of pressure on this card is the green Vegeta card. I think it's Furious attacking Vegeta. It does the same thing. Whenever a card attacks, you can play it out and then you can kill a card. So a lot of times they'll choose this card as well. So those cards can really put a hamper on Super Saiyan 3's kind of bounce effect, which can be very powerful. Now the last thing I'll talk about in this card, and the reason why I gave this card the #1 slot, is because this card is going to work fantastically with Vegeto, and that's a new leader we're getting in set 2. Now what Vegeto does is he turns all Gokus and Vegetas in all areas into blue, green, and red. And so what that means, and Vegeto is a red leader, so he'll get the effect off of Goku. And so what's going to happen is that's going to make this card a blue card, a red card, and green card, which means this card will be searchable by the 1-cost Goku card we currently have in the game, Kind Saiyan Son Goku. And so for all of these reasons, guys, this card is going to be absurd. It's absurd now, and it's going to be even better once set 2 hits. And so if you haven't got these yet, make sure you get them. And every time I open up a tournament pack, I'm always crossing my fingers and hoping this is the card that I pull. So guys, that's it for the top 5 Volume 1 promo cards. I would like to have a special thanks to King Mafaso for suggesting this topic. It's been a lot of fun and I'm really having a great time doing it. Now something different for this week is I have one runner-up video. So if you don't see your favorite promo here, there's a good chance it's the runner-up video. And if you want to see that video, you have to go to my Facebook page. The link is in the description and that video will be there. Also guys, please keep suggesting different top 5 videos. I love hearing from you guys. I love seeing what you guys want, and so it just really means a lot to me, and I love popping your guys' comment up and giving you guys the shout out, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here. You guys are what's keeping me going. You guys are what's making me want to do these videos. And one last thing before I go is we reached over 200 subscribers last night, and I cannot explain how much it means to me, guys. It is overwhelming, the amount of support and love you guys have given me, and it just means the world to me. I want you guys to know from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So guys, I'll be back Thursday with my the last video for the TCA tournament, the round 4, which will be Vegeta versus Champa. So guys, check that out. I hope you're excited, because I am, and I'll see you guys Thursday. Later, guys.